Okay, so in this video, we are going to talk about recycling your content. And if you didn't catch the last two videos, definitely go check those out. The first one is all about using brand pillars and brand themes for your content marketing strategy. And then the second one is all about repurposing your content and really leveraging the content that you are creating to make it work more effectively for you. And this video is kind of continuing along that same vein. And we're going to be talking about recycling your content. And, so now we're talking about recycling content. With recycling content, it's similar to that repurposing of content. You're making it work harder for you. You're making the content you've created go further, right? And you're allowing yourself to not have to spend so much time creating content, but you're going to get more out of it, right? So when you've already set up your brand pillars and your brand themes, and you've kind of got a really solid strategy around how to repurpose that content from those couple of core pieces of content that you're creating, and whether you're doing that or your team member is doing that, next you're going to think about recycling that content. And this is where really tracking how and when and where you're posting things really comes in handy, and I like to just use a spreadsheet for this, where we said, okay, great, we have our core piece of content. The core piece of content is the podcast, okay? The podcast gets repurposed into other versions of content, right? So the podcast audio is getting transcribed into a blog post. I record a video while I'm recording the podcast so that can be used on video platforms, all of that good stuff, right? So that's all, and it's all assigned a pillar and a theme, or it's what we call like a free floating value add post, okay? And so we've said we want to be every week promoting the new podcast episode that's coming out. Okay, great. And then we're gonna have 2 more posts that are going up each week that are more in depth about the topic that we're covering in the podcast, okay? Then we're also going to have an additional value add that's not related to the podcast, topic of that week at all, okay? And then we are also going to have some sort of promo, this is what we offer, this is who we help, this is how we help them, this is how you can work with us. We're going to have 1 to 2 of those per week, right? Because don't forget, you need to remind people how they can buy from you, right? If you're not doing that often enough, you're not bringing them to the next step after that education piece. And then, we'll have 1 or maybe 2 kind of more brandy type posts, or, personal posts more about me, my life, as the business owner, what have you, okay? So we're super clear on that. We have a spreadsheet that we're tracking. Okay, great. So the podcast is talking about this week, this topic. So this right here, this podcast episode is all about content marketing strategy, right? So that's marketing. That falls in my marketing pillar, right? And within that pillar, I have that content marketing theme, okay? And so we know that that's the pillar and the theme, and this podcast episode is happening this week. It's getting posted this week, so we know when it's being posted in that spreadsheet, right? And then all of our extra kind of one-off value add posts we have in a different tab on that spreadsheet, so we're able to just pull from those, right? And we note, okay, great, this post, it was posted this date, so we know when it's happening, right? Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna start to work through those pillars and those themes that we talked about, right? So if each theme represents, you're talking about a single theme in any given week, and if you've set up 5 pillars for your business, and there's 3 themes within each of those pillars, right? Each theme represents 1 week worth of content. That's 15 weeks worth of content right there, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to really clearly and really diligently organize all of that content, and you're going to note when it's going out in that spreadsheet, because what's going to happen is you're going to work through all of those themes, and then what are you going to do? You're going to go back to the beginning. And I know that this is like mind-blowing for some people, but you should be recycling your content. A lot of times we get into the kind of this thought process of, well, I can't post that, I already posted that, right? First of all, nobody's gonna remember what you posted 15 weeks ago. You probably don't even remember, right? But also, you have new audience members, you have new users who have discovered you since you've posted that, right? And if that's an education value-based piece of content and they've never gotten it, you can almost think of it as, it's my duty to reshare this because this is really great information and I want them to learn this information, right? And that's just a little bit of a mindset reframe that sometimes people need to make, because what you're going to be able to do then is you now have 15 weeks worth of content, right? Because you have those 15 themes that roll up into those 5 pillars, okay? So now you're going to restart and you're going to reshare each week of those content. Doesn't have to be in the exact same order again, but something like that. And you know, okay, great. Yep, I haven't posted this for at least 13 weeks, so that's fine. You know, it's not too recent, right? You don't want to repost the same stuff like within a month of each other, right? People might remember that. But when we are learning things, oftentimes we have to hear them and see them and try and learn them multiple times before it actually clicks. So that's another reason why recycling content is not a bad thing, because what probably happened is even if someone saw that post from you before, even if they consume that content and they remember that content, if they found it really valuable and educational and helpful, what they likely did was, oh, great, yeah, I have to remember that. And then they promptly forget, right? And then they see it again and they're like, oh, right, I saw that post from her about this and it was so helpful. Okay, yes, I need to implement this, right? And now they're gonna go do it. So that's another reframe, another little bit of a mindset reframe around reusing and recycling your content, right? Because now you have 15 weeks worth of content. And what you can now do is add an additional week's worth of content once per month. Now you can do that, okay? So you've gotten through your initial 15 weeks worth of content, you start to recycle it. That's, what is that? Almost 4 months worth of content, right? Ooh, bad math over here. Almost 4 months worth of content. So you have almost 4 months worth of content. And then if you just do one additional week of content per week, or one additional week per month, now you have an additional month worth of content, right? So now you actually have 19 weeks worth of content or 20 weeks worth of content. So now we're at 5 months of content that you have here. And now you can restart again, recycle, start over again. And now this time, maybe you're only doing, 1 or 2 weeks worth of content per quarter, right? What you're doing is you're building a content library. And so many people just create content, but they don't think about it as a content library, and they are not fully leveraging that content, that amazing content that they spent so much time producing and creating and educating people around for no one to see it, right? If you're spending all of that time on that content, you want to make sure the most people possible are seeing it, right? And seeing that value and seeing that benefit and building that know, like, trust factor with you. So if you are not recycling your content, do it now. You just have to make sure that you're organizing it in a way that it's going to be easy for you to go back and see what you posted when. That's it. And you can start recycling content immediately. And guess what? This is another really great thing for those of you who are wanting to outsource at a certain point. You've already created all of this content. So now a VA can just go back in and pull it and repost it, and you're not doing it, but it's still your words, it's still your knowledge, it's still your expertise, right? So this is so impactful for your business, and it's something that a lot of people don't do, but it's gonna save you so much time, and you're gonna feel like, and your audience is gonna feel like you are putting out such a wealth of content and knowledge and assistance and education, right? If you just start doing this, if you start fully leveraging your content marketing strategy. And this makes it a lot more realistic to actually continue to promote and build that know, like, trust factor without adding a bunch of time onto your plate, right? So if you have questions around implementing this, definitely check out my Content to Clients course. It's on my website, samdnicoladigital.com. It goes way more into depth into all of this stuff, and it will really be helpful for you. I'll see you next time.